Hello, Jenny Hall for Trinity Stamps. Do you have any teenage girls in your life that like skeletons but rhinestones and glam and shimmer and shine? Well, this idea is for you. I'm going to use the Slimline Skelly die set from Trinity Stamp's latest release. And by the way, here is a perfect pocket that's available now in the Trinity store. They are so cool. So this is a really nice die set. There's an outline plus a detail of a very tall skeleton. There's a top hat, a hat band, a heart, and a little bow, which you can use in any different way. But instead of making a scary skeleton, I thought I would make something that was glammed up for all those tween and teenage girls that love the look of skeletons and bling bling. I'm going to pair this with a die set that I have in my supplies. This is the Slimline Dainty Scallop Edge dies because we're going to carry that girly theme through and have like a lacy looking edge. I'm placing this watercolor paper die cut panel on a piece of gray cardstock. So whenever you die cut the Dainty Scallop Edge, there is a stitched line that runs along the inside edge, and like many of Trinity Stamp's dies, it has a really nice finished look. So I'm going to tape this down with some washi tape to a board that I can move, because the technique for the background is going to work really great if you can tilt the paper. So if I taped it down to my glass mat, I wouldn't be able to move it. First thing I'm doing is wetting the background, wetting the whole piece of paper. And then I'm using the My Jam Purple ink refill from Ink on 3 that's available in the Trinity Shop. And I'm going to get this really drippy look of a watercolor wash. So the first thing I'm doing is starting in the middle of the paper, and you'll see as this progresses why I start in the middle. I want to put a heavy concentration of color in the middle so that as the water drips down, it'll carry that dark purple color with it in the drip line. So you can see it there, that there's a lighter color background and the purple drips. And that's the look that I was after. So now I'm going to move up to the top of the paper, which has dried a little bit more because I didn't re-wet it. And I'm going to add some more of that really, really dark purple. And then I'm going to clean my brush out with some water. And the water is still in the brush. And I'm going to tap it on that washi tape above the purple. And that way it can drip down. And it's going to leave me some drip lines that start out lighter, but they pick up that purple ink the more that you go down the long piece of paper. And it just brings a really cool look. It reminds me of dripping wax, and that's another teenage girly thing. They're always into candles. So this is just a really unique look. I'm gonna either let that dry naturally or heat dry it. And for today's project, I heat dried it. And then take a couple of splatters of just that same paint water and get a little bit of variation look. So we've got the drip marks, we've got the splatters, we've got a lot going on in the background. But remember, we're gonna bling this up as much as possible. So I'm grabbing my Trinity Stamps clear block and some ink refill of Shark Tooth White from Ink on 3. And I'm gonna just use that same paintbrush that's got a little bit of water left in it. And I'm gonna flick and make some white splatters. So we have quite a lot of stuff going on here. And now I'm gonna set it to the side and let that dry naturally. I have a piece of cardstock that's pink. It's a really light pink, as our skeleton's going to be pink. So that's going to give me the lightest color of this modeled skeleton look. It's going to be pink. So it's going to be dark pink and light pink, kind of smoked around and modeled. And that's going to give me a little bit more movement to the die cut pieces. So this is Sweet Petunia Pink from Ink on 3. And I've just kind of used my Trinity Stamps blending buddy to scribble on the color here and there. Definitely, it's better if you don't have it an even, nice blend. It's better if you just have it be really choppy looking. So here is liquid pixie dust, sorry, from Ink on 3, and you can do this in many different stages. So I did it this way to show you that you can have the pixie dust splatter, which I did first. You can completely paint it on like I did here, and that's going to give your die cut skeleton a really nice shiny look. Or you can do like I did and use the shimmer spray, which is like the craziest kind of shine, and it's the way that I imagined the skeleton to look in my mind, because the shimmer spray keeps things a little bit more white. It's like it has a little white in mixed with it or something. I don't know, but I wanted this look. So now I've got the heavy shine over that Sweet Petunia pink, and it's kind of like not a solid color at all. Now I'm going to take the detailed skeleton, and I'm not using the outline, and I run that through my die cut machine. Now you'll notice on the back that there is maybe another piece of cardstock, and at the last second I grabbed another piece of cardstock and put some tape runner and tape runnered it to where it would actually be cutting 2 layers of cardstock with the die cut. And now this is going to serve for a couple of different purposes. I'm going to have those be nice thick die cut pieces, and it's going to really die cut nicely, and nothing will get stuck in the die. So I'm going to use my Trinity pickup stick tool, the pokey side, to poke all the pieces out of the die, and I'm keeping every single thing, whether it belongs or not, because we're going to have a bonus project and I want to keep all those off-cut negative pieces. So I'm using a pair of sharp tweezers and just using liquid glue, taking my time and putting the skeleton back together like a puzzle. And I'm putting it on a die cut of silver glitter paper that I die cut the outline part off camera. So this is going to go on glitter paper, which means I need to be really generous with the liquid glue, because I found that if I use a tiny bit of glue, then it's not going to stick to the glitter paper. It's just going to come back off. So that's a tip, is to be generous with your glue. And this glue dries clear, so it's not a problem. Now, to make it easier to match up the pieces, I matched up the bones first, and like I put the 2 identical bones together when they were all laid out so that I could see which bone goes to which bone and get them to where they looked symmetrical on each side. Another way would be to take that negative die cut piece and just lay it over the glitter paper and just put the pieces right back in place and pop them through the die cut. That would work too. There's so many different ways to go from A to Z in this type of project. Now all those tiny little slivers are actually the hand and the fingers, and those were a little tedious to put back together, but they weren't so bad. I ended up squirting a piece of or a little puddle of glue on the mat here, you can see, and I just dipped the fingers into the glue and put them down instead of bringing the glue first to the die cut. Once all of these things are back in place, then I can do the big reveal on the background, and this is my favorite part. I love peeling back that washi tape, and I love a cool background technique. It's always like the most fun part of me making a card. How about you? I'd love to hear what you think about making backgrounds. So now we've got our skeleton. We're going to put some foam dots back there, and I decided that I wanted to have not just a stiff looking skeleton, but a skeleton that looked like it was kind of moving around, like it had some character to it. And so I'm detaching the arm. I thought about just making it like a hinge at first, and then like, no, I'm just going to take it off. And I'm putting the skeleton down at an angle. It's going to overlap the shoulder and overlap the foot, but that's totally okay. It doesn't bother me. It kind of brings it more three-dimensionally out from the background. This reminds me of a skeleton costume at a Halloween party. And I know lots of tween girls and teenage girls who have been or are into the whole glam skeleton thing. And it's not something I'm into, but I know people that are. And so if I know a couple of people, then that means there's got to be a lot more of you crafters out there that know someone or are somebody who likes the cute skeleton look instead of the scary skeleton look. So I'm going to use a bow and make it into a hair bow. And I'm going to use a couple of Copic markers. First, I am using the dark color, and then I'm using the light color to go in and draw the details, which is going to kind of put in a little bit of look of the dimension of the bow. So I'm going to now glue that into the head, and then, Skelly has got all the little girly things, and this is just really cool. So now we're going to make a bonus project. You remember that die cut piece that still has all of that gorgeous glitter and shimmer and shine on it? Let's take that outline piece over and get another die cut out of it. So I die cut that with my die cut machine, and you'll see here that it is like just an outline, or it looks to me like it's kind of glowing like a ghost. And we got 2 cards out of this one background piece. That makes it pretty cool in my book. So now I'm going to take a black piece of cardstock, and that's going to make me kind of like the opposite look from the other card. But this is going to allow the pink part to really stand out. And I've got a pink card base here that I made from the same pink paper that we started out with, that pink cardstock. Now I'm going to add glue to the whole thing and glue this whole die cut down. Isn't that cool looking? It looks like it glows like a ghostly shimmer to me. I thought this was really neat. So once we have that down in place, then all the pieces that were left over from earlier are going to go right in to make it look like it completes the die cut or the die set. This is those negative pieces. So again, if you want to, you can use something to help you put them back in, or like I did, just kind of wing it. And I'm dipping the pieces in some glue and putting them down. I didn't leave quite enough room in between the ribs, but it all works. It's okay. Now we're going to make a sentiment, and I am putting some anti-static powder on a piece of black cardstock. And I'm using some sentiments from Slimline Booze, which is from last year's Halloween. So I'm using juicy embossing ink to set onto the black cardstock. And that's going to allow some Arctic White embossing powder to stick on this stamped area. I love embossing. Embossing is one of my favorite things to do for a card. It just adds a little extra, and I think that whenever someone receives a card with an embossed sentiment, it's just a little bit more of a wow factor, especially when they're not a card maker and they don't really know how it's put together, but embossing is the boss. So here's a scrap of white paper because we got 2 cards we're making, and I'm going to add another one of those sentiments, sending ghostly greetings. And I'm going to knock off all of that anti-static powder that we treated the black paper with first. So we're trimming down, and this is just going to be the really, really simple way to make the sentiments. I'm going to have 2 sentiments on the die cut pink card, and then 1 sentiment on the card that has the outline. Cutting a fishtail banner or a flag banner, you can call it either thing, is one of the most fun ways that I like to create a sentiment. I think on this card, I just kind of took it back to basics and really just had a fun time putting this together. I know that my niece would really love this card, and my sister, her mom, I think I'll send definitely to her the one with the bow. And that way it'll really hit home and just be the kind of Halloween decorations that some people like. This says, "Hello, beautiful," and "You're spooktacular," which I think is just the coolest. It doesn't have to say Happy Halloween on the outside. You can write that on the inside. And on the ghostly card, it says "Sending ghostly greetings," and I'm going to do the flag banner on that one as well. And put a little bit of foam tape on the back and get that right across where the arms are, the lower arms of the skeleton. I don't want to cover up anything, but I can't have it at the top. It just didn't look right. Now we're going to go embellishments. These are the Oh My Stars embellishment mix from Trinity Stamps, and I've dumped them out into the tidy tray. And this is the pickup stick again that has a waxy end on one side, and it has a metal poker on the other side. And it's really handy to be able to pick little things up. I love this embellishment part because it's perfect and it releases really easy whenever I get the pieces on. So the little stars are different sizes. There are some larger ones and there's some itsy bitsy ones. And I like those teeny tiny stars. I think I've been using the stars more than anything else lately. They're so fun to work with. And this is the Twinkling Tourmaline. I think you say it tourmaline, maybe tourmaline. But they're a really dark purple that has like a iridescent sheen. They're rhinestones that are flat back. So this is part of a big collection of rhinestones in the Trinity Shop. They have all colors of the rainbow now, and they are gorgeous. The flat back is really perfect to be able to stick right onto a card. So can you see the shininess? Can you see all that shimmer and glam? We've got all these fun things going on, and I'd really love to hear which one of these cards is the one that you like the best. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.